It's understandable when we start talking about the writer strike and the actor strike that it kind of becomes depersonalized, right? I mean, after all, we're talking about these big, major billion-dollar studios. We're talking about these gigantic trade unions. And it's easy to get lost in the whole idea that it's one big, powerful Hollywood entity versus another big, powerful Hollywood entity. But it's when it becomes personal that we really start to get a better grasp of what it is people are fighting about, right? Take, for example, the story of Molly Nussbaum, who is one of the strike captains for the WGA, and she is currently on strike with the writers. And by the way, also a writer on the upcoming Daredevil Born Again series. She's a writer on one of my favorite shows, The Umbrella Academy. And she was recently talking a little bit about the personal impact on her that I think gives us better scope and better context for what's going on. Because you think about, a writer on a Disney Plus show, a writer on an Amazon show, a writer on a Netflix show, all this kind of stuff. You're thinking, well, they're driving around in Maseratis and living the Hollywood lifestyle, right? Well, that's, I think, the point that a lot of writers want us to understand is that's not quite like that. This is what Molly said while on the picket line. She said, the money that you make on a job now has to last you 6, 10, 12, 14 months. And when you don't have residuals coming to help you get through that, I mean, I was an executive producer in April on a hit show for a streaming platform, and I was driving for Lyft in December. That doesn't make any sense. It's not good. Now, before I can already hear what a lot of people want to say, well, hey, listen, a lot of people have to work certain gigs, whatever. Yeah, but usually you're not working for gigs of multi-billion-dollar hit successful things, right? Usually most gigs aren't pillars and cornerstones of a billion-dollar entity, right? When you get like a lot of these writers, they are writing the stories, they're creating the characters, they're making the dialogue that then goes up on screen and helps make these companies a lot of money. And the whole thing, when she puts that in context, in April, I'm executive producer on a big hit show on a major streaming platform. A few months later, I'm driving for Lyft or Uber or for, Instacart or whatever it is, just so I can make ends meet, while this other company takes the work I did and profits amazingly. She goes on to write this. I believe what we're asking for is fair. We want our fair share of the wealth that we create for these billion-dollar companies. I care a lot about residuals and making sure that streaming residuals reflect the wealth that we are generating. We need to see real changes in our contract that address the changes that have happened in the streaming model. Short-term work, mini rooms, not sending writers to set productions. These are diminishing our work and diminishing our power. We need to address these problems now because we won't get a second chance. Now, look, I have taken a little bit of an unpopular position that I don't personally agree with every single point out of the many, many, many points that the writers and the actors are bringing to the table. I agree with on most of them, but there's one or two points that I don't necessarily agree with. I've been outspoken that I believe the traditional residual model that we had under the old broadcast television system simply does not work with the world of streaming and the reality of streaming we have today. But I do believe that some kind of new residual paradigm needs to be put together. But here's the part that I've always been a little bit confused about. And I want to read this last quote from Molly one more time. When she says, short-term work, mini rooms, not sending writers to the production. See, this is the part that I get a little bit confused. Because some of the things that I believe the Writers Guild are asking for are ultimately things that I think will benefit the studios. Many rooms do not make better product. Not having writers on set does not make for better product. A number of the things that the writers are at, and again, I don't agree with everything. I don't agree with everything the writers are asking for, but a lot of the things that the writers are asking for will actually result in better product for the studios. And long term, I believe better product equals more financial success. So I don't really understand the thinking of some of the studios when it comes to this. But again, I think what Molly has brought to the forefront here is it personalizes what to a lot of us has been a perception of one giant entity fighting another giant entity. This is individual. This is about people. And quite frankly, now when I watch Umbrella Academy, in the back of my head, I'm going to be thinking, one of the people that wrote the words that are coming out of these people's mouth, they had to go and drive for Uber or Lyft or Instacart or whatever a few months after that and couldn't even make ends meet without doing that. That's a system that's broken. That's a system that's got to be fixed. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. And for me, Rocket Money's been a godsend. I've told you the story before about how I found out that I was still paying a gym membership from when I was still living in Burbank, California 2 years ago. And just recently, I had completely forgotten that I was subscribed to multiple music services with different apps. Rocket Money identified the ones I wasn't using and helped me cancel my subscriptions super easy. And I'm not alone. Over 80% of people have subscriptions that they've completely forgotten about, and chances are you're one of them. Like that Stars app you use just to watch one show, or that free gaming trial that you never got around to canceling. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find your subscriptions for you, and for any that you don't want to pay for anymore, just hit cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. It's that easy. Rocket Money also helps you manage all your finances in one place and automatically categorize your expenses, so you can easily track your budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off. So stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? Like, have you fallen into that trap that I think all of us have at one point or another when we just think of these labor negotiations of one big entity fighting another big entity? Does it kind of change perceptions a little bit when we actually make it personal and we start to hear personal stories about writers who do significant work in the industry and yet still have to go and do other things like driving for Lyft just to make ends meet? What do you think about this? Do you think what they're asking for is reasonable? Do you agree with every single point they're making? Do you agree with most of the points they're making? None of them? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks a lot for checking out our video. Make sure you look at some of our other videos that we have here on the channel. Like and subscribe. And remember, we do a daily podcast simply called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.